I have examined the YouTube political communities, and I realized there's this trend from the reactionary portions of the website. It is a deviation from this new norm we found, and in its place we found some mistakes. The mistake I'm of course talking about is BreadTube. It is a mistake because I feel like it does not go deep enough. It does not examine the greatness or the complexity of the things it's trying to examine. It is a watered down version of everything it seeks. I think with so many ideological things I'm doing right now, maybe it'll be more unbiased if I just show you some viewpoints from the people that are part of this community, what they think they are. Maybe it'd be something that will change my mind. Maybe it'll make everything better. Maybe this video was a parody. It's a parody of some random fake leftists. Maybe everything I'm saying is a lie right now. We're gonna see what it is that we're gonna look at right now.
Welcome to Rational Wiki. BreadTube or LeftTube is a loose community of leftist YouTubers. BreadTube references anarchist writer Pyotr Kropotkin's The Conquest of Bread, aka the Bread Book. BreadTube may be considered a response to the overwhelming presence of right-wing, anti-SJW and pseudoscience YouTubers that move young people through the alt-right pipeline. Their goal is not only to de-radicalize/draw young people away from those reactionary places, but also to educate progressives that moved further left after the rise of far-right caucusocrats like Donald Trump and Jair Bolsonaro.
See, I'm open-minded. I'm open-minded to other opinions, really. And we can see at this website called Rational Wiki, we realize that it's very interesting. There's no sources other than this page on several YouTubers. It claims that they beat their enemies with facts and logic, like some people I know, like Ben Shapiro, the weird man. It's interesting. They think they're so intelligent. It's like they're some kind of narcissist. Like they're egotistical. They just want to just bash you with their nonsense in the aim of being superior than you. It's fascinating, really. It's amazingly how convincing they are. And at the moment I'm just looking at an article, all you have to do is look up way at the top of that article and you realize that it's want money from donations. Cool. One of the main issues I have with this community is that the largest members of this community depend so much on appealing to masses in a way that fits their ego. Think of it like this. Why would socialists or far leftists of any sort make propaganda for themselves to convince a mass amount of people to their beliefs, but while doing that, they ask for lots of money for themselves alone? Like, I get that these people need money for their lives, but you don't need to exploit the emotions of these people. You don't need to actually do all these things. If you care so much being anti-capitalist, why you buy so much makeup, so many costumes for your shows, and dress up as upper class. This doesn't make sense for a so-called leftist. The thing with the content that this community creates is that it is questionable to me. This, as I mentioned before, they use the aesthetics to attract masses of viewers to their channel, and that they use this as a tool to improve their ego, their pleasure, and gaining money and similar things from it. There is a similar problem to this. The problem with this is that they use the forms of media, as in things like video games, pop culture, as ways of gaining views. Most of these people are usually only interested in these videos solely for the reason that it has to do with things they see every day in mainstream culture, as in movies, as in video games, all those things. You may wonder what's the problem with that. If it brings a message to the viewer that is a message of what they claim to be revolutionary, then that's the issue. To me, that is the issue. Mostly because the reason is that it brings a simplistic, a vulgarized version of what the intention is. It is not serious. It is not true to what it was intended in the first place. When you're not using your message seriously, it does little to destroy opposition. For example, a fascist or a Nazi does not care about the colors you use for your hair or the makeup. They do not care about the storylines you create in ways to debunk their beliefs. They will just call it degenerate beliefs. They will call it an example how far our culture has fallen. And this is the issue. This is the problem with BreadTube. BreadTube does not actually have significance to the political background of the internet. Yes, they do have these major YouTubers, but the problem with this is that, from my point of view, it does not actually bring people to a better ideological conclusion. It actually limits their ideological thinking to simplistic, watered down version, as I said before. And from this, we realize that BreadTube exists as a monopoly on power. It is domination of a few over many YouTubers. That is the large versus the small. And they exist for this reason. That is a celebrity culture disguised as politics. That it goes into a relationship with a company. That is, of course, YouTube. The fan base of BreadTube for large channels like Contra or PhilosophyTube act like a cult of personality. They praise their leaders, ideological leaders, mindlessly, with no critique or deep examination of what they're saying. And the funny thing to me is that they just embrace them as if they were philosophers, and just depict them as if they were intellectuals. And that's my biggest problem with such people, is that they talk about how these people de-radicalize them from groups like the alt-right. When you look at this, then it makes you question. It makes you think if these people have true dedication to their beliefs. Do they actually understand everything in of itself? Or do they just like how things sound like? And my problem with them is that they are dogmatic. They see their leader or their intellectual leader as if they're the one and only truth, the one that should only be praised, and that all the others are chuds or reactionaries. I feel like it will be more complex than this, that their beliefs do not actually examine the complexity of the world. It is limitation on the mind, limitation to entertainment pertaining to be serious issues. And it is questionable. I doubt such people will actually combat the right. Rather, is this a joke to the right-wingers? My final criticism of BreadTube is that it is an exaggeration of social liberals and progressives. We can obviously see this in how they view topics like gender and relationships. I feel like these people should have the right to say that they feel oppressed, that they have something that society wants to destroy. Though I feel like they have a exaggeration of how Western society does it. And from this, I believe that they, in and of themselves, reject a large demographic of the world's population, that is those that do not believe in Western ideals of liberty and freedom, that have their own constructed ideals of liberty and freedom. That is people like Muslims and Christians of other nations, non-Western nations. They don't believe in what we believe in. And the problem I find with this is that they detach or sever themselves from these masses of people. That they focus on a selective few of minorities, but not even the most important types of minorities that those other ones would have otherwise fit in. And the problem with this is that it leads to a simplistic, altruistic view of the world that is limited by a dualism of perceived good and bad. The final result of this is that you have a community that thinks the world will just bend over to their ideals. That is, in that they believe that their social values will go forward into what they perceive as progress, that it will never go into the reactionary's way, that they somehow are the vanguard of the people. But when we look at the world is not that simplistic. It is way more complex.